Hello, my name is Sarah Walker. I am a Melbourne-based photographer and critic, among other things. And I'm here to talk to you about how much I love Patricia Cornelius, Melbourne-based playwright, who writes women in a way that you very, very rarely see on stage. I think our idea of what it means to play a strong female character is often your kind of Blanche Dubois, your woman who has a breakdown on stage, feels good to act, who is either a queen or is like wounded in some really deep, profound way, and her secrets are being revealed. What Patricia does really elegantly is she writes class in a way that I think is really missing from Australian stages. And she writes women whose lives are really fucked, but who are not victims. I love that she can write characters who have everything going wrong in their lives, but they're angry and they have swagger and they're sexy. She writes women the way that most playwrights write men. But it's not in a way that's just violent. It's so nuanced and so aware of the different factors that impact a life and the way that that life is presented on stage. I've had a lot of conversations in the last few months about violence in the theatre and the way that it is presented, and how do you talk about violent issues in society in a way that is not just damaging and traumatizing to your audience and to your performers. And talking to Patricia about this is really amazing because she's really aware that the stage is a place where violence and force create this really electric possibility. And that you can't just make a show, you can't just make a body of work that ignores realities of existence, but she's really aware that you don't just put shit on stage and be like, well, look, it happens. She knows when to push an audience and when to pull back. Her dialogue is incredibly fast and funny and turns on a knife's edge. I think a really great example of her incredible writing is in Savages. So it's a play based on the story of Diane Brimble, who was a woman who was assaulted and murdered on a cruise ship by a group of men. And I think it would have been really easy to do a production where you spent time with the woman and you saw her being assaulted and the men were made out to be these horrible monsters. But Savages starts with you meeting these group of 4 guys and you love them. They're so funny, they're charismatic, they're rude. You want to be their friend, and they're complicated and they're damaged and their masculinity is deeply performed but also deeply ruined. And the show ends after this crescendo of kind of drugs and drinking and like descents to almost animal carnality. The show ends with them seeing her and there's just silence. There's 4 men just staring with this hunger and this horrible, terrifying violence into the audience. Lights out, boom. And that's what's powerful about the writing. You don't have to see it happen, you know it's gonna happen. And what makes it really fucked up is that you really like these guys. It's the same with Slut, her play about young women and the way they turn on each other. It goes for about half an hour. Hilarious. You love the characters, you want to be their friend. They remind you of what it felt like to be a young woman. And then all of a sudden, without you even realizing, it shifts. And they betray you, and you betray yourself because you've been so on board, and it takes you time to realize that you've gone too far with them. That is what is powerful and extraordinary about her writing. Her politics are fucking great. Her awareness of what it is to be a woman in the industry is fucking great. Everything she does is amazing, and I think she's just glorious. I'm so glad she's part of this industry.